to Ukraine.
And in sports, Ohio women's basketball takes on Central Michigan at the top of the hour. Newswatch starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Andre Knowles.
And I'm Lexi Leploff. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. Amazon may be developing land for a new technology complex in Licking County near the Intel site.
That's right, the Columbus Dispatch reports on potential development involving 400 acres bought this month for $116.6 million in New Albany. Amazon has not commented on its plans for the land, but plans filed with the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency by the New Albany company show proposals for data center complexes. The Ohio EPA set a public hearing for February 6th regarding the permit request to develop the land.
Police shot and killed a man in Toledo after he refused to drop a shotgun and pointed it at them. Toledo police say the man's wife called 911 early today, saying he was shooting a gun and her adult son had escaped to the roof. The 911 dispatcher could hear shooting and screaming in the background. Police say the man started walking towards the officers, raised the gun and pointed it towards them. WTOL reports the officers then shot the man 22 times. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The Toledo police posted on Facebook the officers who fired their weapons will be placed on paid administrative leave. More details, including body cam footage, will be released Friday, and the case is under investigation. A Jackson County man is facing 4 counts of rape and 2 counts of gross sexual imposition, according to the Jackson Common Pleas Court. These incidents allegedly occurred in the summer of 2022. The victims of these incidents range from 7 to 13 years old. 55-year-old Eric Dirth will face his first pretrial in February and his first criminal jury trial in April. Now we're going to look over at Jacob for a first look at our weather.
Thank you, Lexi. Yeah, Athens today, you did see those temperatures were actually kind of warm, but you did also have that low pressure system move through our region. Now that low pressure system right now is currently bringing a little bit of light snow. Now that's light snow as in when it does hit the ground, it's not going to accumulate as snow because it is too warm for that. But the main threat for tonight, especially as this system is now past us here, the winds are going to be high. You have gusts right now, or wind speeds of 24 miles per hour with gusts up towards the 30 to 35 mile per hour range. Now that does put us kind of in the range for severe threats tonight. The main big thing, we're not here in Athens, but wind advisories are in effect for Lancaster and Chillicothe regions. Here in Athens, we don't have any advisories at the moment. Now these wind advisories are expected to fall around 7 p.m. but the rest of us are still going to be facing those threats from the severe weather that we've been having across the region. That's all I have for first weather. Back to you, Lexi.
New Ohio House internal rules are allowing work to continue despite ongoing disputes within the GOP supermajority. Lawmakers argued on the House floor yesterday over who is leading House Republicans. House Speaker Jason Stephens ignored members of his own Republican caucus, saying, quote, "We need to move forward to get Ohio going forward." This led to an uproar from Republican challenger Derek Merrin and his supporters who proposed amendments to decentralize House leadership. Typically, one person is chosen to be both House Speaker and Republican caucus chair, but this time it's 2 different lawmakers, with Merrin elected as the Republican caucus leader and Stephens elected as the House Speaker. These disputes contribute to concerns over how the House will function under the next 2 years of disunity. West Virginia Governor Jim Justice hosted a town hall in Parkersburg today as he travels around the state touting his new tax proposal. Justice spoke at Parkersburg City Council chambers this afternoon. The Republican governor was joined by Revenue Secretary Dave Hardy at the town hall event. At the event, Justice talked about a new proposal that would cut West Virginia's personal income tax by 50%. The governor's tax proposal was passed by the House of Delegates last week and is now before the Senate, where it faces backlash from Republican leaders. Justice will travel to Berkeley tomorrow, where he will hold another town hall about the proposal.
Kentucky high school students can now apply to serve on the Commissioner's Student Advisory Council. Students will meet to discuss how decisions made by officials affect students across the state. Monthly meetings will be with Kentucky Education Commissioner Jason Glass and the Kentucky Department of Education staff, and the appointment is for 1 year, but consecutive appointments are possible if the student meets eligible requirements. Students who have ideas to improve public schools and student achievement are encouraged to apply, and applications are submitted online and due on March 9th. More news out of Kentucky. Kentucky state officials plan to build new homes for flooding victims after securing another eastern site with higher ground. The 50-acre high ground land is just a few miles from downtown Hazard. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear says the first phase of the plan includes building 115 new homes. Part of the construction funding will come from the TEAM Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Fund. The fund was set up after the historic flooding in late July and has raised over $13 million from donors. And Christian Academy students are making a difference in the lives of women in their community. The students were challenged to see which graduating class would raise the most money for Elizabeth Hope. Elizabeth Hope is a women's center that educates women about their pregnancy options. There are 5 centers in the Ross County area. The school raised $1,000 total for the center, with a freshman class winning the competition. When we come back, a lawyer representing the teacher who was shot by her 6-year-old student says the incident could have been prevented. And plus, a former FBI official pleads not guilty over alleged involvement with Russia. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
Lucy Ware Webb was born here. As a young lady, as the wife of the governor, as the wife of the president of the United States, she's always the same person. Just a terrific lady. As residents of Chillicothe, we're very, very proud of her. To have a person of that character to represent this community, small as it is, in the White House.
How does chemistry become biology? I'm David Pogue. In this Nova miniseries, the blueprints of life, the molecules that make us. That's only half the amount of fats in my body.
Absolutely.
And the chemistry
Cell division.
we live for.
It's a really cool enzyme because it makes life on Earth possible.
Beyond the elements, life on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
Now streaming on the PBS app, Antiques Road Trip.
I like it.
20 seasons
Ooh, pretty good, yeah.
of antiques experts.
Oh, stop it.
Scouring Britain in classic cars.
Yeah, baby.
On the hunt for hidden treasures.
I think I found something.
It's brilliant.
The goal? To make the biggest profit at auction.
You're some man.
There'll be worthy winners and valiant losers. Antiques Road Trip. Stream all episodes now with Passport on the PBS app.
In these waters lies a complex world, a natural realm built on relationships. We are piecing together clues like a jigsaw puzzle, slowly revealing parts of the picture. Take a deep breath and discover the soul of the ocean.
Wednesday at 8 on WOUB.
The lawyer for a Virginia teacher who was shot by a 6-year-old student says the tragedy was preventable. During a news conference today, the lawyer said 4 school employees, including her client Abby Zwerner, tried to warn Rich Neck Elementary School administrators about a troubling incident with a student, but they failed to act.
On that day, over the course of a few hours, 3 different times, 3 times, school administration was warned by concerned teachers and employees that the boy had a gun on him at the school and was threatening people.
Police have said Zwerner was shot in the chest after the bullet passed through one of her hands. She was released from the hospital last week.
President Joe Biden announces today he is approving a shipment of Abrams tanks to Ukraine and a notable shift in approach and military tactics. The move comes as Germany agrees to request from Poland and other European allies to allow the deployment of German-made tanks to Ukraine. Isabel Rosales is in Washington with the latest.
In a remarkable shift.
This is about freedom. Freedom for Ukraine. Freedom everywhere.
President Joe Biden announcing the deployment of 31 M1 Abrams tanks to Ukraine, a marked increase in U.S. support for Ukraine following Russia's invasion.
These tanks are further evidence of our enduring, unflagging commitment to Ukraine and our confidence in the skill of the Ukrainian forces.
Biden also insisting the enhanced support is not an escalation against Moscow. Senior administration officials say it could take months, if not longer, for the sophisticated but maintenance-heavy vehicles to make it to the battlefield. But the announcement comes in tandem with Germany's agreement to permit the dispatch of its Leopard 2 tanks, which could be on the front lines in 3 months.
The United States has worked in lockstep with our allies and partners around the world to make sure the Ukrainian people are in the strongest possible position to defend their nation.
The timing is critical as Ukraine prepares for a likely Russian escalation of hostilities in the spring. The new cache of ground weaponry also signals a shift in Ukraine's posture from defense to recapturing territory lost to Russia. As the one-year anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine approaches, Western allies displaying firm commitment to fighting back.
If President Putin wins, it's a tragedy for the Ukrainians, but it's also dangerous for us. Because the message then is that when authoritarian leaders use military power, they get what they want, and then the world becomes even more dangerous and we more vulnerable.
In Washington, I'm Isabel Rosales.
Ohio Governor Mike DeWine joined U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman in Parma yesterday for a discussion with Ukrainian locals and refugees about Ohio's role in supporting Ukraine. A former FBI administrator pleaded not guilty today in connection with charges that he took money from a foreign government. Charles McGonigal, a now retired former head of counterintelligence for the FBI's field office in New York, faces allegations of hiding at least $225,000 he received from a former employee of an Albanian intelligence agency. He allegedly took the money while working at the bureau. McGonigal, who was arrested Saturday in New York, has been charged in D.C. with several counts of falsifying records, making false statements, and concealment of material facts. He appeared in front of a judge via video conference earlier this afternoon, and he faces 20 years behind bars for the charges in D.C. On Monday, the FBI veteran also pleaded not guilty to charges he faced in the Southern District Court of New York. He is charged with violating U.S. sanctions, conspiracy, and money laundering for working in 2021 with a Russian oligarch who was sanctioned for interfering in the 2026 U.S. presidential election. When we come back, thousands are without power as more than a dozen reported tornadoes ripped through the South this weekend. That story still ahead.
And it's system after system. What could you expect here in Athens coming up in the later days? Have that when we come back from the break. In the meantime, if you want more of Newswatch, you can check us out at YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter.
We are at Adena Mansion and Gardens. This is where Ohio history began. They're in their writing talking all night long about what they wanted Ohio to be. What type of state did they want Ohio to be? They wrote the Constitution, came out and saw the sun coming up over the Mount Logan Range. That is the inspiration for the Great Seal of Ohio.
How does chemistry become biology? I'm David Pogue. In this Nova miniseries, The Blueprints of Life, the molecules that make us.
That's only half the amount of fats in my body. Absolutely.
And the chemistry
Cell division
we live for.
It's a really cool enzyme because it makes life on Earth possible.
Beyond the elements, life on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
One of the darkest chapters in human history.
The Auschwitz killing complex can turn several thousands of human beings into ash in just 24 hours.
They went straight from the trains to the gas chambers.
Could the Allies have done anything to destroy the extermination camp?
The only way to take out the instrument of killing was to bomb the camp.
On the 75th anniversary of the camp's liberation, Secrets of the Dead explores bombing Auschwitz. Tune in or stream Tuesday, January 21st at 9, 8 Central, only on PBS.
Thanks to viewers like you, we've been able to tell America's stories on this PBS station. Help us continue to tell these stories now and for future generations by including this station in your charitable plans.
Supporting this PBS station through a gift of securities is easy. To find out more, call the number on your screen or visit this website. Thank you.
Welcome back, Southeast Ohio. I'm Newswatch forecaster Jacob Van Cleve. Athens, your temperatures did rise up to 52 degrees, but they are going to drop significantly down to just at freezing there at 32 degrees. Now, that 90% chance of showers was throughout the day. There is still a slight risk for those showers continuing in through tonight as that low pressure system is still lingering in our region. Now, the main threat that's going to go on in our region is this wind advisory that's in Chillicothe, Lancaster region there. We just don't have those strong enough winds. Now, winds are still high with gusts up towards 30+ miles per hour throughout tonight. So that's something to do keep in mind. Beyond that, you have over in West Virginia, you have the winter weather advisory. Now, there was one north of us in Columbus, but as the snowstorms have stopped in those regions, they have lifted those. Now, the wind advisory here in Lancaster and Chillicothe, that will be ending around 7 o'clock tonight. Now, what's going on currently? Well, this is kind of like an aftershock in a way, if you were to look at it with the weather. They are like slight bands that are coming through as that low pressure system is slightly west of the main frontal band. And what you'll have is it'll squeeze the moisture that is in the atmosphere and it'll cause these waves as the wind pushes and pulls everything eastward and away from our region. Now, what's really driving the entire weather? Well, you have that high pressure all the way out in the Atlantic. You have this main low pressure system that's actually right here. You'll see it in New Orleans. This was yesterday, so this is a 24 hours period. You'll see it's actually shifted up more north, and it's impacted this entire region, especially us here in southeastern Ohio last night and even today with a little bit of slight rain showers. Now, you will notice that there's this little pocket right here that's a little empty, and that's more so like a warm funnel of warm air coming in our region that's kind of being brought in, and that's kind of what caused us to have those rain showers around 3 o'clock today. Now, the rest of this rain band is moving on east. It's going to move out of our region, but you'll see there's this like stationary band that's going to barrier it and keep it here instead of pushing more north. Instead, it's going to keep this, and those conditions are going to linger throughout into tomorrow. Now, tomorrow you'll see those temperatures are going to be a high of 38, so they're still cold. You'll have that 30% chance of rain and snow. It's mainly going to be rain throughout the day. That snow chances is more so in the morning just because of those cooler temperatures. But definitely when they drop down over to 24 tonight, any lingering moisture or water could freeze. Now, as we kind of blow everything up and go move on throughout the week, you'll see tomorrow, this is kind of where the chances of all the snow and everything is going to be. And you'll again move into Friday or Saturday, and you'll see it still lingers in the region. But there's also a pocket right here up towards Minnesota. That'll move into our region. That'll bring us actually a couple of nice days of clear skies, mostly cloudy Friday, Saturday, but that system then does move in Sunday, and we'll notice it'll still keep temperatures cold, but there's also something lingering Tuesday, Wednesday, and we'll actually have colder temperatures beyond Wednesday. Now, with all this severe weather, you can clearly see that we've had a lot of systems. They've been back to back to back, and especially down south, they've had a lot of tornadoes this year. Yeah. On average, they typically get about 40 tornadoes in January, but they're at over 100 this year.
Now, could those tornadoes possibly affect us here in Ohio?
A little bit. Where we are in southeastern Ohio, it's not favorable for those conditions, but it's still possible. But what we're looking at weather patterns-wise is usually what we see in April.
I see.
Wow, that's good to hear that it won't hit our area, but obviously we're thinking of all the people in the south that are left without power, and it's one of the most active tornado seasons in recent years. Gloria Pazmino has the latest and more on what's happening.
We couldn't see anything. It just went white. Everything went white. Explosions were happening. It was terrifying. It really was.
Destruction across communities in Texas and Louisiana after more than a dozen reported tornadoes struck the region Tuesday.
Hopefully we can come back and build better.
Collapsed buildings, trees ripped from their roots, and widespread debris is now scattered throughout Deer Park and Pasadena.
We have all hands on deck right now of all our neighborhoods, just not this neighborhood, all throughout Pasadena. Tornadoes touched here, touched there, and we're doing everything we can to make sure all our citizens are safe.
I'm going to tell you, my 25 years here, this is probably the worst damage that I've seen, just catastrophic.
The violent storm knocking out power to tens of thousands in the region.
It was the most scary thing, in my life, but thank to God that we are here, sounding alive.
A new severe threat continues Thursday from Florida into Georgia and the Carolinas. I'm Gloria Pazmino reporting.
According to the National Weather Service, this is shaping out to be one of the most active tornado seasons in recent years.
No matter what you're dealing with this season, it's important to keep your mind and body healthy. I think they're talking to me. Less than 10 minutes of moderate and vigorous physical activity each day may help your brain, according to a new study. Mandy Gaither has more on the research and why even small changes may make a big difference.
It's no secret, moving is good for the body, and a new study finds more evidence that it's also good for the mind.
They took 4,500 individuals in the UK, they strapped an activity monitor onto their thigh, and they looked at what did they do during the day, how much did they sleep, when were they active, when were they sedentary.
After activity, researchers gave those studied a cognitive test. They found that the people who did just under 10 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise each day saw improvements to short-term memory and executive function, which helps with things like planning and organization.
The converse was also true. If you downshifted from moderate or vigorous activity towards more sleep, sedentary behavior, or light activity, by about 7 to 10 minutes, you lost about 1 to 2% of your cognitive ability.
While the cognitive improvement was modest, researchers found the benefits grew with more time spent doing more energetic workouts. Moderate physical activity is typically defined as brisk walking, bicycling, or running up and down stairs. Vigorous movement like running, swimming, and biking up a hill will boost your heart rate and breathing.
They speculate that it could be increasing your cerebral perfusion or the blood flow to your brain.
Additional study is needed, but researchers say even small changes can make a big difference in brain health. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Now, while the study had some limitations, including a lack of information on the health of those studied, one health expert believes the findings illustrate that consistent movement patterns over time is as important, if not more important, than one single session of exercise.
Coming up in sports, one Ohio basketball player set a new career high in points yesterday. Find out who when Newswatch returns.
WOUB is recognizing members of our Cornerstone Society. The Cornerstone Society is a group that wants to ensure the future of public media in our region. It includes people across our area who value news, entertainment, and cultural programming, as well as the educational services WOUB provides. Also included are graduates of Ohio University who took part in the WOUB Student Professional Development Program. Thanks to the Cornerstone Society for their generous support. To learn how you can be involved, email woub@woub.org.
In these waters lies a complex world, a natural realm built on relationships. We are piecing together clues like a jigsaw puzzle, slowly revealing parts of the picture. Take a deep breath and discover the soul of the ocean.
Wednesday at 8 on WOUB.
How does chemistry become biology? I'm David Pogue. In this Nova miniseries, the blueprints of life. The molecules that make us.
That's only half the amount of fats in my body? Absolutely.
And the chemistry.
Cell division!
We live for.
It's a really cool enzyme because it makes life on Earth possible.
Beyond the elements, life on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
On American Experience. In the shadow of a world war, they were reluctant symbols of their people.
We invested so much in Joe Louis.
But when they stepped into the ring, the world stopped and watched two men, Joe Louis and Max Schmeling, fight for the title of champion. The Fight on American Experience.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
Welcome back, I'm Reese Thompson. Hardwood Heroes is midway through week 2 after watching several top teams around the region in action yesterday. The Federal Hawking boys basketball team has a 15-game win streak after knocking off Belpre 74-45. Tariq Cottrell dropped a game-high 27 points for the Lancers with 5 threes in the first quarter. Federal Hawking shot well from three-point land. Caden Chapman finished with 3 from beyond the arc. The Lancers will host the Eastern Eagles under the lights this Friday night in Stewart. The TVC Ohio, the Athens boys basketball team, had a hard-fought matchup with the winless River Valley Raiders. The Bulldogs relied on defense and timely baskets to pull away with a 51-36 win. Landon Wheatley led Athens with 18 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals. With the win, the Bulldogs moved to 3-3 in conference play. The Bulldogs face the top team in the TVC Ohio in their next matchup. Athens and the Alexander Spartans tip off on Friday night. The Ohio men's basketball team carries a 2-game win streak into a matchup with the Akron Zips on Saturday. The Bobcats hope to carry momentum from last night's 88-76 win against Western Michigan. It was a 2-point game with under 8 minutes to go until the Bobcats went on an 18-4 run to pull away. Forward Dwight Wilson III is the story of the game with a career-high 31 points. Wilson went 13 of 16 from the field and 5 of 7 from the free throw line. He sparked the Bobcats' offense inside. The team had a season-high 48 points in the paint. Wilson talked about his performance and what it will do for his confidence.
Try to be dominant on both ends, and as far as rebounding and ball screen coverages, and on offense just attacking. I know 9 times out of 10, if it's one-on-one, then I'm going to score. That's how hard I work, and that's how much confidence I have in myself. So.
Taking a look at the standings, Ohio sits 8th in the Mid-American Conference at 3-4 in MAC play. Remember, the top 8 seeds make the MAC tournament in March. Kent State suffered its first conference loss last night against Northern Illinois, but still sits tied at the top of the conference with Akron, Ohio's next opponent. There is a 4-way tie at 4th between Ball State, Bowling Green, Buffalo, and Northern Illinois, all with a conference record of 4-3. Ohio takes on the Zips Saturday at 2 p.m. in Akron. The Ohio women's basketball team looks to keep things rolling tonight against the Central Michigan Chippewas after ending a 10-game losing streak Saturday. Tonight is a battle between the last 2 teams in the MAC. Both are 1-5 in conference play and 3-14 overall. This is a big game for the Bobcats. A win could put them in a tie for the 8th seed in the MAC. Sophomore Yaya Felder leads the Bobcats with a little more than 19 points per game, good for a 2nd in the MAC. Tip-off is set for the top of the hour in Mount Pleasant. Yaya Felder is doing a fantastic job of taking that leadership role this year, especially after big leaders like Cece Hooks left last year.
That's great to hear. Hopefully they keep doing well, keep winning, and get some good position for the conference championship and finish out the year strong and pick it up.
For sure.
So let's go.
All right, well, we're going to toss the weather for the final look at your weather.
Yeah, so that system is eventually moving out of our region here, and there's still a little bit of lingering storm. That main band you see there is what kind of came through our region around 3 p.m. today. Now, after tonight, you're going to see those temperatures drop down to freezing, but not enough for that chances of rain showers that are going to linger throughout the night to accumulate anything like snow on the ground tonight. Now, tomorrow you're going to see Athens, that 30% chance still continues into the day, as you do have that chance for those early morning showers, and then especially in the afternoon when the temperatures drop below freezing. Now, beyond that, you'll just see there is a system coming into our region, but weather will change and temperatures will drop.
A new image from the James Webb Space Telescope captures the frozen heart of a molecular cloud located 630 light years away. Molecular clouds are interstellar groupings of gas and dust where hydrogen and carbon monoxide molecules can form. Young stars called protostars can form within these clouds. The Webb telescope focused on the one dark molecular cloud, which appears blue in the new image. The starlight helped astronomers determine the diverse range of frozen molecular clouds, which is forming dozens of young stars.
That's so interesting. That looks really pretty.
It does look really pretty.
Yeah.
It's very cool, but everything that's in space, it's like scary to me, for sure.
I see. I understand. Well, that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Andre Knowles.
And for all of us here at Newswatch, I'm Lexi Lepov. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org or follow us on social media.
Donating your old car, motorcycle, or truck helps support public television. And it may get you a pretty nice tax deduction, too. Plus, we make donating your car easy. Just call our toll-free number or visit us online.
Support comes from Help Me Grow, providing home visiting, helping pregnant mothers and